went up the street.
No, okay.
But she didn't know she couldn't go out. She's Martha McIntyre's niece.
Oh, yeah.
So you see, did you sign up for that protest because it's a campaign?
No, I didn't.
Well, so they know somebody who lives down there. That'd be why. Oh, you didn't. She must not have gone all the way up. That's not the name's not. But she didn't wear gloves either. It's these the young ones that don't wear gloves. I think she used.
Girls got guitars. I like it. Hi, Al.
Hey, how you doing? I've been trying to find you guys.
We're here.
You found us.
I was just sending a note to Caitlin saying I couldn't get in.
Well, that's because we just opened it up.
Ah, okay. Let me see if I can get in the rest of the way here.
Well, you're there.
But I don't know how to make you guys big.
You can't.
If you click, it should be up in the top right corner where it says view. You can choose gallery view will be like the Brady Bunch version.
How's that?
I don't know, we can't see your screen.
How's it for you?
Well, I can see you guys. I also see somebody's guitars here.
Yeah, Sarah.
Not mine.
Gee, I thought I lost you guys. You guys are just too high tech for me.
Well, speaking for myself, that ain't true.
Everybody okay in your family, Al?
Well, Jean, my wife had a problem. I had to take her in a couple of weeks ago. She got some blood clots in her lungs, which isn't good.
Oh, no, definitely not good.
That's why I mentioned that I was taking care of a family emergency. That was it.
Okay.
How's she doing now, Al?
She's doing pretty good, but it's a long-term process to try to get rid of those blood clots. So, but she's resting pretty good and doing pretty good right now.
That's good.
Just gotta keep going in the right direction. We gonna have a little music over there, Sarah?
Where are
They're
you?
not mine.
Are you at the House of Guitars?
It's all my husband's guitars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool.
Does he serenade you every night, Sarah?
What?
Does he serenade you every night?
Almost every night.
Almost.
He plays a lot.
Oh, it's 10 o'clock, so I guess we can start. Let's see who we're missing. Greg Hotel. He's going to actually physically be here, or if he's going to join us on the big screen here. Well, we might as well get started. So he can back up.
Great.
Item on today was a discussion of the Hubbard Trail with Fisher Associates, but they couldn't join in the discussion this morning. But Emily had sent along an updated. I guess this is something that would be sent out to residents in the area to show them the routing and what the structure would conceivably look like. So I know a number of people have offered comments on this, and I think the comments Emily took them and incorporated them into this latest iteration of the public outreach document. So if you've all had a chance to look at it or have any more comments, or
Is that the latest version that Caitlin sent out with the meeting notification?
It should be, I think, this is the latest one, isn't it, Kate, was it?
The one that Sarah sent back over?
Yeah.
Barry, the one that, it may have just been you and me on the email thread yesterday, but Emily did update it after you and I think one other person had another comment. I'm not sure if that got out to the group, but I can bring it up on my screen if you want.
Yeah, if you could, Sarah. This is the last one that I saw, though, I think, so.
Okay,
Yes, here today.
okay, because I think it was yesterday that she sent the final one to, and I think she may have just sent it to you and me.
If you can pull it up, we'll take a look and see.
Sure, just a second.
Sure.
So this is what she sent me yesterday. There were a lot of comments and several changes, so I can't remember everything that was changed on it. But I think she basically just incorporated what everybody said.
Want to scroll down, Sarah, to the
Sure.
cross section? Yeah.
Oh, to the second page?
Yeah, the map and the cross.
Yeah, the lower part here. Okay.
You
Okay,
want to see
they
this part?
took off a lot of the extraneous lines. Okay. And then the cross section, the next section down. Okay. Okay, she did change that.
Yeah.
I think this
Oh,
this was the thing Al and I had, I think, concerns about the cross section. The
Okay.
engineer in me had me thinking originally that we were going the wrong direction. When you look at something, you would have thought the path was on the other side of the road, looking at the cross section. But I think she's made that correction now.
Yeah, well, she put looking south to north on that one.
Yeah.
the next one down, Sarah, I think that's corrected too, or, I mean, more identified. Looking
Okay.
south, more.
Go down to the next one. Scroll down just a little further.
This is the second one.
Oh, okay. What's the
I
first?
just went down there.
Okay.
There had been another drawing, another map that was showing it was like in two pieces,
That-
from Purdy Road down and then, further. And those two pieces, would have to be connected together to properly see the outline of the whole trail.
I think that might have been the graphic that's on the website. And I think they broke it into two pieces so that you can see it all at once. Because if they had it really long, it would either have to be really small or really wide.
Right. But it had been on this,
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah.
but it had been cluttered up with a lot of red lines going property boundaries all
That
along. the
might
whole-
have been this. Was it this? Or no, this really is the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing, isn't it?
It was that. It was that, and it had cross-section references, and they took all that off. So
Well, yeah, but there had been another one that was broken into two pieces. Sarah just seemed, that one I was talking about, that's not included with this. I don't know that it necessarily has to be.
Yeah, I think they were trying to keep this just to like a front and a back so that if we decide that this is something that we'd be interested in mailing to the residents along the proposed trail path, that, it would just be a simple 2-pager that we could just mail out. And this also could be something we share on the Facebook page or, in other places to try and get some feedback.
One of the other recommended changes, I think Al had recommended, it was up on the first page where below project description. The copy that we have right here says project benefits still.
Yeah, she changed that project.
Project benefits here, so that's what we want.
Well, one question on that, I had said something about, do we need to come up with cost estimates there or that's not a part of this?
I think eventually it will be, but I'm not sure. I think at this point, the goal with this flyer was to let people know that this project is happening. And
And-
what it's for, why we're doing it, and if
And
they
where?
have basic feedback. Yeah, and where. And I mean, I think we talked about that it might be a good idea to mail this to the people who live there, but I would be interested in feedback from other residents too. So share it physically with those people maybe, and then also, digitally on the website and stuff.
Right. It appears like it would be ready to go then. What was her plan on actually sending her timeline for?
It's kind of up in the air because we were waiting to, finalize all of this. And once that's good, I think we'd be ready to do the outreach. I mean, I don't see why there'd have to be any more delay. We just have to decide if we want to mail it or not, and who it goes out to, and then the other ways we get it out.
Well, we do have a town board meeting on Monday night. We could introduce it under town board business and just ask the rest of the board if this is acceptable. And I doubt that they would say, no, it isn't.
I can check. I can also check our contract with Fisher. I can't remember if a mailing was included or not, but public outreach was. And
Yeah.
because public outreach has changed a lot the last several months, I can ask her, if this is something that's part of the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, this looks better to me, from what I saw before. I think it, easier to comprehend, I think, a little bit.
Do you want me to pull up the website? Because I think that that might be what you were talking about, Terry, where that other graphic is.
Okay, yeah, good.
So it has some of the same stuff. Same picture there. And here's that other set of graphics.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
I can't show them both at the same time on my screen, but you can see the top one and then the bottom one.
Well, she did remove all the boundary lines, so it is not as cluttered, not as confusing. So that's good.
And then the cross sections again.
Yep.
And I think that's it. And then at the bottom, if people want to put feedback in right from here, they can fill it out. And there's a section they can put a comment, and whatever they put in there will go right to Emily, and then she'll share it with me.
Okay.
I guess the other thing I kind of recommended, I don't know if there's some, like on the website, if there's like a link we could direct people to that tells them about the Auburn Trail, the greater overall vision. I don't know if there's, like, we could just list a couple of links, go here to find more about the Auburn Trail or something. I don't know, that's up to you, but that was just a thought.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there is one, but I could ask her. Do you know if the Auburn Trail, the larger Auburn Trail, has an actual website?
I did some research and there's some links. I can't tell you what they are, but there are some links that kind of give you the overall vision, how it comes down through Victor and Farmington. And, so it's just a thought. If we could put a few things in and people could go look at them and see the bigger vision, what we're trying to connect to.
Yeah.
But that's up to you, just a thought.
I'll talk to her. She may know of some. They did a study, Fisher did a study in 2013 on the larger, Auburn Trail and all the connections that were left. So they may have some other information she could put on there.
The study was provided. Dennis Brewer and I were we represented the town of Canandaigua. It actually, Farmington, Grand and people in Farmington were the ones that got the original grant money to start the trail in Farmington,
Yeah,
connect to Victor hiking trails in Victor. And that brought it down to the Purdy Road area or just north of that, so. I still have a copy of the thing at home, but that original study had 15 different potential routing of the trail.
yeah.
And at that time, there hadn't been a selection made, but since then, obviously there has been, so. But I don't know that there was a website established at that time before, because there could be, but.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Ontario Pathways has a website, I think. So I wonder, I can do some looking and see if there's one for the Auburn Trail, like one spot where people could just get information about the whole system.
That sounds good.
Because if there is one, I'm sure she wouldn't mind just sticking a link right there in that first section of the project description.
Well, these products look better to me, so I'm good with what you got. Maybe look at adding the link in.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
okay. Go ahead and be stingy. All right, well, we can move on then to the second item on our agenda, which is discussing the infrastructure portion, vision and goals for the newest comp plan iteration. So we should all have what had been proposed originally, which came from a series of meetings that were held one of the last year, the year before. Eric had conducted around the area here. A lot of the comments that were made at that time, you know, he did some editing, but drew most of what was asked for in this proposed section. So,
Sarah, can you allow me to share my screen? Are you on the host?
Okay, you should be able to. I didn't mean to be the host, but
I got it now. I think you must have been the first one logged in.
oh, maybe.
okay. Get it up on the screen. Have at it.
Hey, Jim, the one thing I suggested maybe under measurables, putting your something about the, you maintain your highway benchmarks. You've got that program, putting something under measurable about your highway assessment.
I think we did that under the highway section that we talked about last week.
If you go up to the top of this, you look at the goal, it says provide public water and sewer services.
So is this specifically aimed at just, I was a little confused by that. So this is aimed just at public water and sewer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, you do sprinkle in solid waste. You mentioned later on the high-speed internet and renewable
Yeah,
energy.
that's what I was confused by.
So I think we ought to, for the purposes of this, it says this exercise, we ought to define what infrastructure is. At least being all in agreement what it is. Obviously it's sewer and water. It's also storm sewer that comes up.
Chuck, if you read the goal section up there, it does talk about expansion of high-speed internet. This section deals with water, sewer, high-speed internet, stormwater.
So,
I
I think it seems like it's everybody's general conception of what infrastructure is or public works might be, with the exception of highways or transportation, which was given its own section.
Okay.
Which I guess we're missing solid waste then and recycling in the goal.
Could add that into the goals up above. Eric, maybe you could make that part of the goal section up there, some reference to solid waste and
Eric, I can help you with the language on that if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't add that somewhere to the goal.
one of the comments, I know we had received some comments from Doug some time ago, looking at the goals and measurables for all of the items that are in the proposed new camp plan. The very first word up there, provide public water and sewer services. Well, we can't make people take it. I mean, we can offer it, but we can't force people to take water and sewer services. So I get offered to change their, recommended changing that word to offer. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Doug, there's someplace in there.
I'm here. I'm also working on my presentation for Monday night. So sorry, I'm doing two things at once. But yeah, that was my big thing, or some sort of word. And then the other thing is, right, we can't offer water. We don't think we'll be able to offer water or sewer service for the entire town. So
Sure.
I don't think we can say that we're going to provide water and sewer service for the entire town. That was just my concern, the way that was worded.
Yeah, it does say in there for a sentence in the areas of the town identified in town plans, which I would think would be the sewer and master plan and water master plan. One of the questions I had is under measurables is feet of new sewer and water main, measured maybe on an annual basis. We don't really provide a lot of sewer service. I mean, it's, I wonder if sewer should be a measurable that we include.
Makes sense, but we do have a sewer master plan that talks about, extending sewer in at least 3 priority areas. So it is something that the town has taken on to some degree in the past.
Yeah, so far we're only 2 after that, so. Although that is next on the list we're talking about. So. How about the other measurables that are listed here? What does everybody think of these?
I'm good.
I'm good on those.
When do we go down to action items?
Well, there is just one more comment. There was a comment made by Doug here about having some form of measurable or monitoring of inspections, system replacements. I guess really aimed more at the RLD, where there are issues with septic systems. We had changed our code to inspect, what do we inspect every 5 years? Maybe a measurable is tracking those inspections to see that we are actually, conducting them. Yeah, added in there.
Does that show up anywhere else, Eric, in the plan, in environmental or somewhere?
There's definitely mention of septic systems in probably the same section as sewer earlier on in the body of the text.
Mm-hmm.
So it fits in here, although it's more of like a private infrastructure to some degree. And it would be something that I think we could do pretty easily as far as measuring it, as long as we, manage that data. Right now we get the reports when the septic systems are inspected or replaced. And so we could probably add that to some sort of database and then we'll keep track as it moves forward.
I think that's a good one. That's a key factor in terms of lake quality, so.
No, I agree. It should be somewhere in the plan.
And there's a beeping sound coming from out back here that kind of, I didn't know if we had 10 seconds to go before it goes off. you want to move down to the action steps then? What do you think there?
I guess one I thought, I'll just throw it out, one I thought of adding was continue evaluation of existing facilities and future needs. I don't know if we want to add that or not. Continue evaluation of existing facilities and future needs.
Is that,
It's,
that be something that is contained within the second point there, continue implementation of water and sewer master plans?
Well, I'm talking about, all town facilities like the highway, the parks, the town hall, kind of the stuff we've been doing, but I don't know if it fits there or not. That's why I just throw it on the table, see what you guys think. But that number 2 strictly talks to water and sewer, but we have a lot of other town facilities.
I think as you worded it, it's maybe a little too broad. Maybe we can, since like the water and sewer master plan might cover water and sewer, and we're focusing on infrastructure here, are there other elements of infrastructure that you want to kind of evaluate that maybe haven't been right now? I assume we've done pretty recently, like the transfer station and waste management, although that's still kind of going on, depending on how the whole regional system plays out. Maybe stormwater here, although there is a stormwater master plan section called out here. So I guess to ask the question shortly, what other elements of infrastructure have we not covered in these other action steps that we can specifically call out as a need to evaluate?
Well, Al, are you talking more about like building needs?
Yeah, I guess.
Highway garage,
Yeah, like a new highway garage or new facilities at a park or the new, things regarding town court or whatever. But maybe it doesn't belong here, but I just threw it out for consideration.
Eric, do we have any of the other goals and in the vision or buildings included in something else? I'm not sure, right? I know we have a section dealing with parks and
Yeah,
it seems like all the
do
other
have-
buildings are kind of covered in other sections except for the town campus, right?
Yeah.
Would those fall under that operations one?
That's kind of what I was thinking, that maybe it would fall under operations, or if it's specific to infrastructure, you could put it here. I don't think it would make a big difference in the implementation one way or another. They both do the same thing.
yeah, it probably doesn't matter where it's contained as long as there is some reference. Has that been reviewed yet, Eric? The CIC hasn't looked at that yet.
No, Doug and I went over the operations section, but the CIC hasn't seen it yet.
Was there any discussion of buildings and, town court and stuff? Al was asking about.
Sorry, say that again?
Was there any just, what Al is recommending, was there any discussion when you guys reviewed, the operations section? Was there any discussion of, future need for buildings from an, like administrative standpoint? The town hall, the court,
We didn't really, I don't think we got into that level of detail. It was more relative to the operations, finances. It wasn't specific to facilities. And maybe that's something that needs to be included in there, a section on facilities. And obviously we've got the campus study and everything. Did the, Eric, isn't there another section though? I was thinking, isn't in the environmental section, is that where it referenced like the transfer station and stuff?
I think no, the section on the transfer section is within like the infrastructure part or within the existing conditions. I don't think there's anything in the action items or the goal section here for the environment that talks about the transfer station, but I'm checking right now.
Well, Terry, to your point, it probably is something that should definitely be in, whether it's, maybe it's infrastructure, maybe it's in that section, either infrastructure or operations, then it should definitely, like all the stuff you're talking about, the campus, the transfer station, everything needs to go in there somewhere. Obviously, we know we've got to at least explore that further.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's good place as any to insert it here. And probably very appropriate, so, because we are talking about looking in under measurables, looking at, solid waste and, waste per capita, items like that, so.
If the goal is to have it be more broad and cover kind of, a larger share of how the town operates, I'd say let's move it to the town operations section. If you want it to specifically relate to waste management or just like infrastructure management, then maybe leave it here.
As long as it's covered, to me, I mean, as long as we have it someplace. Because that'll guarantee that it gets looked at in the future. Whatever measurements that are being used to drive any changes will be, taken into consideration, so. We could put it here, since we're talking about it today, and then we've got it covered and we know it. How would you phrase that again, Al?
Well, I just said, continue evaluation of existing facilities and future facility needs.
I feel like that would fit more in the town operations goal because it's for everything. It's more about, the facilities that the town needs to operate for all the services we offer. Town hall and everything, highway building, waste. That's not just these infrastructure services.
Right.
I think if I were looking at the plan and I was looking for somewhere where they talked about that, I might look at that other goal first to find it.
It sounds like when you guys discussed operations, it was more process related than structure related. So, if you want to keep that emphasis on process and administration, then maybe it belongs here. If not, then put it under that area. I agree that, if you're thinking about facilities and all that, operations is just as logical as infrastructure. So who's got a 25-cent piece where you flip it and see?
Well, I'll let you guys decide. You're smarter than me, but I think it ought to be in there somewhere.
I think we all agree to that, Al.
Okay, well, we'll add it in there somewhere.
We'll let
the point too much.
We'll let the guy with the pen there that's putting this together flip the coin.
Thanks, Al. Is there anything else you guys think are missing from the action items, or?
Eric, you got to tell me how protecting trees and incorporating them into the stormwater infrastructure would work. Are we figuring we put enough trees over the town, nothing will hit the ground?
That does provide beneficial stormwater effects, but I'm not exactly sure. I can never recall the context that a lot of these action items came out in our conversations, but as you probably know, trees do provide beneficial stormwater impacts, so. I
It
think
may
that
have
when
been-
we're talking about larger developments, that's.
Yeah, it may have been the reverse, removing trees can cause more erosion and then therefore it affects stormwater runoff and lake water quality.
I question that one too, Chuck. I don't know that that's really an action step that. How you do that? We're gonna go out and chain ourselves to the trees and. Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine what would you do, I question whether that should be in there.
And trees has so many more benefits than just, providing stormwater control.
Maybe it's something that belongs in the natural resources section.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And that it's probably already there in terms of it's, the CO2 and just the fact, the beauty of having trees and the topical relief you get from, vertical structures and, and I'm sure that's probably all part of that section you referenced there. Should be anyway.
Well, it's also, a lot of that is included in our site design criteria too, in terms of conservation, subdivision management, and those areas where we ask that protection be given to large tracts of forested areas. I mean, we have I can't remember what it's called now. We're drawing around the whole.
Constrained lands.
We also have guidance on staying away from stream banks and those kind of things.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there are some things built into our system already, so that's why I was a little questioning of this particular goal.
I think that it's a good point to make that it's not really a good action step. It's, something that you do and probably something that you might do in the planning process, but it gets to some more broadly, what it's intending to do is to create a method to improve stormwater management, let's say. So I wonder if we can eliminate this action item and add a little bit of verbiage to the stormwater master plan so that it might say, create a stormwater master plan to plan for future catastrophic drainage events and identify practices to improve stormwater planning or something like that.
And that's my next item is create a stormwater master plan to plan for future catastrophic drainage events. I would change that to more in line what you had with the goal, the plan for the replacement of aging infrastructure and for the necessity of stormwater infrastructure future. I mean, we're not just doing the master plan to plan for the big 500-year storm, because a lot of stormwater facilities aren't going to handle that kind of drainage storm event anyway. So I think that should be changed as to the reason for a stormwater master plan. And I appreciate your including it, by the way, Eric. It was something that obviously the Drainage Committee had been promoting.
Do you have any issue with adding the practices to improve stormwater management, remember at the end, like I just mentioned?
I like what you said.
I'm sorry, in the practices?
So when I said the action step, what I mentioned was removing the protect trees one and adding something to the end of the goal about the stormwater master plan that just says, and identify practices to improve stormwater management.
Removing.
Well, assess and improve. Because part of the stormwater master plan is assessing what you currently have and its condition, and then improving it should deficiencies be found.
Right.
So if you could put something along that line in that item, that would cover it.
Sounds good. Up above, there's another item about the middle of the page. It says take action to become a climate smart community. That's really something that the town board would have to have some discussion on and make a commitment. And that To my knowledge, we haven't done that. Have we done anything like that, Doug? Are they not remembering?
So you did, so there was a resolution back, I want to say it was 2016 or 2017,
Yeah, I
Sarah,
think so.
that there was a resolution where you allowed us to kind of take the next step, and we said that we were going to, Sarah, help me out. Was it the climate smart or was it the clean energy? Because they're two separate things.
It was, well, they are two separate things, but I think I was talking with Emily, they're starting to kind of just merge into one to make it easier to get the funding to do projects.
Right. But at the time we adopted the resolution, they were separate.
Right. And it was the Climate Smart Community Pledge. And it basically, it just said you were pledging to work towards it or something like that. I can find it if you want to see it.
But to answer Terry's question, has the town board specifically said something that we're going to move forward and be in a climate smart community? The answer to that, I think, is resoundingly no.
No, right.
And it wasn't this town board either. That was a prior town board. So to your point, and Terry, that's exactly one. I know you have my notes because I sent them to you, but like I had actually crossed that one out. I think more discussion needs to take place before something like that goes in the comp plan.
I agree.
And it entails more than just infrastructure, right? Much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really broad project or program, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, any other addition to action stuff?
I don't know what, before accepting dedication of infrastructure, evaluate cost of these bills of future. If it's being installed per town specifications, why wouldn't it be? You know, cost of the business on the road.
I'm sorry, you were cutting out a little bit, or maybe I'm cutting out.
Wasn't
I
sure
know.
about
Somebody's in the hallway.
Yeah, I know.
the decide whether we take on dedication of infrastructure. If we're building to the town specifications, why wouldn't we take dedication of it? I wasn't sure how you justify not taking dedication.
I guess the thought there was, say somebody's building and I apologize that somebody's hollering down the hallway. If somebody's building or proposing a small cul-de-sac, which is, the public benefit of that is limited, let's say. I mean, obviously those households on that benefit, but doesn't provide transportation to other parts of the town, just that one section. If public money has to go into it beyond the revenues that might be generated from the tax of those households, does it exceed? Is it a good investment?
Well, I think you've already committed yourself to that, and then why would we have requirements to make them build it to a certain standard? But if it's going to not be dedicated, they can do what they want.
Yeah, I agree with what Jim's kind of bringing up here. I understand the question, and but I don't like the idea of putting that question at right before dedication, because if someone's building something for a project and they've gotten the green light by the town for planning board approval and permits, and then all of a sudden we get to dedication, like, oh wait, yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna take dedication of it. I'm not sure how that's gonna roll.
So is the language that needs to be changed the goal itself, or just before dedication, like during planning?
My opinion is to remove that completely.
Yeah, I guess I don't see a value of that.
Yeah, questionable. I agree. They take it out. I mean, you're going to look at, if somebody comes in with a proposal like that, you're going to look at it and
So yeah,
you're going to make a judgment. It either meets our standards or it doesn't. If it does, I don't see how you can tell them, no, you can't, you won't take dedication of it.
Well,
If they built it that way to our standards.
right, and that's, I guess that's the purpose of our town code and our standards, is to prevent people doing things that we don't want, that there isn't, you know, future viability to.
I mean, we just had a very good example of that with St. James Parkway with the Lakewood Meadows project where, you know, they were told, don't proceed with this. They proceeded. They built it not to our standards. We made them take it out and rebuild it so it would meet our standards. Then we accepted dedication. Now, in the future, that's going to have to be repaid, you know, X number of years down the road, but we took that dedication. I just think it ought to be removed. I don't think that it's acceptable.
No problem.
And what's the community choice under our Explore renewable energy option? Would that be the same as a climate smart community?
It's one of the goals there. Sarah, I don't know if you want to touch on it.
Yeah, it's specifically to, and I get them confused. There's a lot of different solar programs, but it's it's referring to one of the solar programs where it's a, you know, like a bulk purchase and it makes it cheaper for people
So
to get
that-
energy. Or
Yeah,
Doug, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me jump in there for a minute. That's going to take, and truthfully, be honest, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I would love to dig into it more and bring you guys some details. I know some stuff about it, but I just don't have the time to dig into that right now. But it is probably something we should explore in the coming years. Probably not even this year. The city of Canandaigua has done it. Naples has done it. Some other communities have done it. There is an opportunity perhaps to piggyback on what I think Geneva's done it. There is an opportunity to piggyback on what the city of Canandaigua has done. You've seen some things recently in the news about Victor and Canandaigua both offering the community choice aggregation, the CCA. And basically what you do is you basically say, okay, this is going to be the provider for this municipality, and you get a greater reduced rate for not only the town infrastructures and the town properties, but also all the residents, all the properties that are in the town. The downside is, and this is a huge downside, and this is where we got to get into a lot more detail, and it takes a lot of exploring. The downside is the municipality, the town board, is making the decision for all the residents of the town of Canandaigua, and then they have to opt out if they decide they don't want to do it. It's way more in depth than what I can possibly explain here right now. I hear pros, I hear cons, but it's going to be something that we need to have a robust discussion about at a point in time later down the road.
Okay.
Well, we should leave it in here because it says explore. Well, I don't know, partnership with city. I mean, we should explore community choice aggregation, you know, whether it's in conjunction with the city or not. Is, you know, you could take that part out with the city of Canandaigua, but exploring that CCA is something we should do.
I agree. I think we need to take the time to explore it in depth. I would hate to see us rush into anything with that. We need to take the time and really understand all the pros and cons, but I think exploring is a great word. That is something that we should do.
Let's just take out partnership with city of Canandaigua and leave it as explore renewable energy options such as community choice aggregation. Okay. How are we doing? Are we done or are we? Yeah.
I think we're done.
I'm good.
Yes. There's nobody saying anything else. We get very good.
Actually, if I could just ask one, I'm sorry, I don't mean to belabor this, but the first one, study the impact of extending infrastructure. I did have a comment on my notes. I thought we had already kind of done that through the Ag Enhancement Plan. I just wonder if that first one there, you know, I thought we even had a goal that said something along the lines of expand water and sewer services to the areas, you know, that are most appropriate or something or other.
Well, that's in the goal section. It says, you know, offer public water and sewer services in areas of town identified in our town plan. So
Yeah.
the first and the third, I did have I wondered about combining them in some way. I mean, currently we request comments from the Ag Advisory Committee and UCB before, you know, we extend any services to any areas. And, you know, we have stated in the past that there are areas that we don't want to extend service to in order to preserve the agricultural areas. So try to keep it from being poached by developers. So wonder about somehow, I didn't go back and look and see what we have under agriculture for in this particular area. I don't know if anyone else, Eric, you're more familiar with it since you wrote all of this. So.
Would we just want to change that first word from study to evaluate, you know, because that's kind of an ongoing continual, evaluates an ongoing continual process, but I think we've kind of completed, more or less completed a study, but we need to have an ongoing evaluation.
Okay.
That makes sense, I guess. I mean, we do have,
Or is the better term monitor?
yeah, that might be a good term too. Because one of the measurables that we have up in the agricultural section is going to be, you know, the farmland acreage and all that good stuff. So if we essentially combine the two data sets, where we've extended water infrastructure and the impact on the farmland in the surrounding area, pretty much going to give you the information you're looking for, right?
Yeah, I like the term monitor. You know, it's something we don't want to lose sight of. It's something you always got to be looking at.
That sounds good. Okay. Let's move it along. The sanitary sewer discussion for County Road 28. We included a copy of the letter that was sent out to Grandview Park people. So, I mean, obviously, some of the verbiage has to change, potential costs and those kind of things. But just as an example of what we'd like to do as a next step, to send this out to people in that area to acquaint them with the fact that we're going to take a look at it. So there's really nothing we have to decide today, I don't think, but other than let's just keep this moving.
Yeah, I thought the letter looked good.
Good. Let's see if we can go through the water project update just as quickly.
Hey, Terry, could I just a quick second? Speaking of, you had mentioned Grandview Park. I just wanted you guys to all know, I had a meeting with Bill Wright. I think it was the week right before Christmas. And during that meeting, Bill Wright, I think everybody knows, the Commissioner of Public Works for Ontario County. During that meeting, he informed me that the Canandaigua VA is currently looking at scrapping their wastewater treatment facility and actually running new lines to connect with the city system, perhaps in the area through Grandview Park. And so I explained to him that we had looked at this and that it would be cost prohibitive for the residents, and asked if there was maybe an opportunity, as he's working with the VA, that maybe something could be done for Grandview Park. And he felt like it was a very real possibility. So there might be another option there relative to that.
Who's designing the VA project? Do we know the engineer that's involved with those guys, or who the contact directly is with VA?
I don't know off the top of my head, Greg. Bill Wright or Tim McGilliot with the county would be the one I would try to reach out to.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of see if they had some sort of a concept in mind, so I could see from the town perspective how we can piggyback onto their project.
Okay, good to know. All right, water project.
Well, the tank is being
So,
filled for disinfection. That's going well. It can do so many feet per day. It takes 7 days to fill that. Not quite 1.1 million gallon tank. So Monday it should be done. So we'll take samples next week. Wiring is getting done inside the building. We're just waiting for, looks like right now, hopefully we'll have power the next 2 weeks to the building. Yeah, it's moving along, just slow.
we've had some delays due to parts and pieces delivery to our project. It's caused some of our delays, not all of them, but some of them. Yeah, I think electrical work is ongoing at the booster station. The THM removal system on tank 2 is installed, so that'll all be ready to go once we get that, take that put that tank offline. As part of the disinfection, we still have to do our liquid holding test, which happens kind of coincidentally with the disinfection process. We have to fill it, wait 24 hours, perform the liquid holding test, same time that we'll be pulling samples. Just so I was aware, we're just following AWWA for the finished storage tank. And then once we hear back once we make a submission for a certification, we'll hear back from the Department of Health on a completed works, in which case we might be able to put that tank offline and run that tank with the old tank up until a point to when we can turn the booster station on and actually fill the whole tank, in which case we take the old tank down and start the other new tank. If everybody follow that.
So we would use the water from the existing tank, nothing except for the bottom.
Yeah.
5 feet of water.
Yeah, I think that was the intent, was to try to use as much of that water as we could. So we can isolate the new tank offline and then drain down the old tank, and then isolate the old tank and then turn the new tank down. So
Then start taking down the old tank.
yeah,
What do you think that would be? I mean,
it's probably gonna be in February based on when power is gonna be to the booster station and when we'll be able to actually schedule startup. From the last progress meeting, that's kind of like how it left it, was middle of next week. We were supposed to check back in with Calcino on progress, and then they were gonna re-update their schedule to us to hopefully get us to the point of saying, okay, we can schedule startup either the last week in January or the first week of February, or sooner. I don't know. We wanted to have them some time to get a little progress in there and run their wires before we kind of came back with like some sort of an idea for a startup date. So once we know we have a startup date, there'll be startup number 1, which will probably no doubt involve a lot of debugging. And then we'll have startup number 2, which will probably actually be able to hopefully leave things online at that point in time.
Yes.
good.
Have we had any quality issues? Everything looked like it's going good quality wise?
I think most of it is. There are some finished work that we're gonna be talking with the contractor to rectify. Actually, Jim and I are gonna stop up there after this meeting.
Okay, thanks.
And the pumps look great.
Pumps are all in now.
Yeah, they're all in. Motor's on.
It's all there.
Good. Okay. Let's move on to number 5. water section 206, code amendments to water policy update.
So Doug brought it to my attention, I should review the town code to make sure that the changes we wanted to make to the water policy, were consistent with that. I did find, that we need to update the penalties for offenses section. And they actually don't currently match anyways. So that was, it's just the exact same language we looked at, in the, water policy. And then I did have a question in reviewing this section, section 206-22, abatement of charges. So basically this section says that if you're a seasonal resident, that you won't be charged if your premises is vacant. And that's not something that we currently do. So Jim just wanted to discuss it with this committee.
Because currently we provide, everybody gets a minimum bill, whether they're at their house or not, or use any water. And this is saying that if you leave your house for summer, we don't charge you. Well, we don't know if some of these people leave their house or not, I'm sorry, in the winter or not. Sometimes they just close the door and leave.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a good statement.
Yeah.
so I would prefer to have it the way we have it now, just you get a minimum bill year round.
So you want to remove this section completely?
Yeah.
Is Doug still on here? I don't know.
It said no abatement of charges shall be allowed.
But then keep reading. Unless the water supply is turned off by the water district and the meter removed.
Well, just staff that sentence right there, the supply. You're supplied with water. Did you do that? Good, I mean, take the,
So just have it say, no abatement of the charges for water rent shall be allowed on account of the vacancy of premises supplied with water. Scratch the rest of your suggestion.
Yeah. then it's, you know, they're gonna get that minimum charge.
Right.
I mean, I've had, just in the last week, I've had 3 different customers question me about that. So it is something that frequently comes up.
I had a couple little things I kind of noticed when I went through this. For example, go up to 206-6, and we say the service pipe between the curb cock meter, wherever located, shall be pipe approved by the town board. I think we have it most other places. We need to say town board or its agent, or town board or its representative.
I think
I don't
it,
even want to.
it specifies that towards the beginning, doesn't it?
Well, there, that's a good point, because in 206-1, 206-3, there's reference to the town board, but I'm not, in 206-1, across the middle of the paragraph, says the same shall constitute a part of the contract between such person and the town board. No, the contract isn't between the town board and the customer.
Well, I think there it could probably say town board, because
I don't-
they kind of sign off on the rules, but if you go down further, there's a lot of places where you say town board or agent.
Yeah, but
Like
town board,
206 should say town board or agent, and 206-7 should say town board or agent. That's what you say in a lot of places, but these 2 places, we don't say that, you know, it's not.
in this 206-1, the contract isn't, the town board doesn't sign off on a contract with an individual, water purchaser.
Yeah, maybe I need to reread that one, but
Why not just use, why not just take?
Well, I think,
Rules.
maybe when this was
Oh, yeah.
written,
It
Terry,
is.
that, you know, technically the water superintendent is appointed
Yeah,
by the town board. So the water superintendent is an agent of the town board.
or agent.
And it's just, maybe instead of going through each and every section here, you know, we have a definition wherever the word consumer shall be used and it defines it. Maybe we define it as wherever the word town board is used, it means town board or their agent. And then we just define that at the beginning and then it applies throughout.
Yeah, I think that good. Key thing, we just need to be consistent.
Yeah, right, because it varies, goes back and forth.
Jim, aren't a lot of these technical details in the design standards?
Yeah, this is from.
Maybe there should be a reference to that.
Yeah, we can say refer to code. We gotta refer the code to our designs.
Yep. And again, make sure they don't contradict.
Correct.
Yeah, Caitlin, if you put in an overall statement like that, you just need to make sure you go through the whole document and scrub it, you know, so it's all consistent.
Yeah. Some of this was written in 1977. The language that's used today is totally different.
Yeah, I think most of it's from the 60s.
Stuff.
Good time to look at it.
Whole decade.
I know it's something that we should probably review and then come back with them.
Okay.
Jim, do you have many problems with hydrants being illegally used?
Only one.
It depends.
There's only one instance that I recall.
Yeah, it's a touch.
Well, if you do, just make sure your language here is strong enough to. I mean, one case you say it's not permitted for anyone other than an authorized person to use it. Then you say about getting a permit to do it. Somebody.
Yeah, do it. Like on the subdivision sites, a lot of times you look for water or keeping dust control down. So the day you
Sure.
run a fire, you run a meter and a backflow device for us.
Yeah, they usually open it with the wrong wrench and screw up the threads and.
Oral, and they use a gate valve to control. They don't touch the hydrant. So.
Well, make sure we have enough teeth in this thing.
We can look at that.
Problem.
I think we do well.
I think that's good on that.
Okay, last, not the least, transfer station planning. That one will probably consume a lot of time in the future, but who wants to lead off on this?
Well, we did meet last month with some of the county, with one county representative who alluded to a few things that they're thinking about for the future. We were hoping to hear something early in January because they said they wanted to meet with stakeholders. We haven't heard anything yet. I think that we need to look at, just for our own town, where we're going to go in the next couple of years, the way we're currently handling food waste, solid waste, construction debris, and relocating it over on the property that we purchased a few years ago to get things going in the direction we see fit and see where the county comes into play.
Well, the last meeting, we had Carla Jordan join us. She had indicated that in January, they were hoping to be able to have stakeholder meeting, but that would be after the board of supervisors released or reviewed and hopefully released the draft of the plan that they've come up with. And I don't know when the board of supervisors meets, is it third week? Thursday is the third week of the month, something like that. So we may not hear anything in January, it may slap over into February, We really need to see what they're talking about before we start forming a plan for ourselves, just so that there is some cohesion here, so. We put this on here really just to say we haven't heard anything yet, but we do have to be thinking about what we will do in the future, so. There are a lot of options, there's a lot of decisions that are gonna have to be made and how we do it, whether we make people pay at the gate or what we do, you know. What kind of technology do we employ? How many lanes do we have? I mean, you know, most of the people here have been to our transfer station and its peak and in its valleys. I mean, sometimes you come over here, there's nobody here. Other times there's 100 people in front of you. So, you know, the planning is going to have to be very thorough and account for a lot of variability, including the hours of operation. We may have to expand it to something different, and it could involve more than County Canandaigua. So it could be the city, the town, Oakwell, East Bloomfield. We just don't know at this point. So that's my thought of the day.
Well, probably one of the biggest factors before we can go anywhere is making that decision about whether we want to entertain charging a tipping fee every time somebody comes, because that's going to drive the whole design of that facility. And we talked about trying to make a field trip to a couple of places and look at what they were doing, but you know, with all this COVID explosion, I don't know how quick we want to go charging around looking, but that's probably the long pole in the tent right now, is to make that decision. Are we really going to go forward and try to charge a tipping fee every time they come in? Because that, like I say, that kind of drives your design and your equipment quite a bit.
Well, also, who's going to be involved? Is it just the town, or is it go beyond that? That's, I think, one of the very critical factors that has to be, you know, decided up front. You know, I mean, it's going to require a lot of interaction with the county, I think. So until they're ready to speak, I think we're kind of on hold. And yeah, I agree, Al. I don't think we need to go taking a walk until we're vaccinated. Maybe a few weeks after that, huh?
Yeah, I agree.
You guys up next? You guys already got your schedule?
Guys like Al and I are going to get the first head of the line.
I don't hear them calling me.
No, I haven't either. I haven't heard a word, you know, so. I don't know.
Well, I think we need to work on this, but there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we've used an hour and 10 minutes of our allotted 2 hours. What do you want to talk about for the next 50 minutes? Uh-oh.
A while.
How about them bills?
Yeah, tomorrow. All right. Okay, one of the other things I wanted to ask was our future meeting, you know, for the remainder of the year here. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but well, there's one over there. We've been meeting on like the first full week of the month on a Friday of the first full week of the month. If that's still good, you like the.
You want to say the first full week of the month or just first Friday? Because they're.
I go with the first full because I'd like to get it as close to the town board meeting as we can.
Oh, okay, that's your promise. Because like April would be, it's the second Friday of the month is the first full week. So, okay, no, I understand it there.
Yeah. In February, our meeting, what's our meeting in February?
22nd.
22nd?
No, board meeting? Because the
You
15th
have
is a holiday.
15th off, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's the 8th.
Is it the 8th or the 22nd?
I can't remember. We have the town calendar.
Oh, yeah.
See what the town calendar has to say.
Yeah, February would either be you're looking at the 5th, which is almost a full week, one day short, if you count Sunday, or the 12th.
No words.
Also
Yeah.
the 8th.
Okay,
It is
See.
fast.
Friday, February 5th,
Okay.
even though it's Constitution Day in Mexico, according to this calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be tied up.
Yeah, we're in a sombrero, Chuck.
Yep. Margaritas.
So February 5th. No, March 5th. March 5th,
April 9th.
April 9th. May 7th,
Mhm.
June, let's see. Oh, June, we make it the 11th. That's the first full week in June. July 9th,
Mhm.
August 6th. September 10th. October 8th. November 5th
Mm,
and
mhm.
December 10th. Just take a look at those dates, and if anyone has a conflict, we can change it, but for now,
Well, Caitlin will keep us straight.
I'll do my best.
she was writing them down, so. Okay, if there's nothing else, then, 1 o'clock tomorrow, right, Chuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, my Eagles aren't in it, so I got to root for the Bills. My backup team.
Gotta recalibrate.
The Eagles tanked it.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
No.
All right.
See you
Have
guys.
a good week.
Thanks,
Stay
folks.
safe.
See you later.
Thanks. Thanks, Terry.
Well, that was fun.